All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Want to thank you all so much for stopping by as always. And today we're going to be talking about the Pokemon market being saved by megas. What? That's crazy. Or is it? Guess we'll find out in today's discussion. But before we jump into it, as always, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. Really helps out the YouTube channel. And as always, check out Alex. His content is down in the description below for you to see the link to his channel. But Alex, anything you want to say before we just kick right into it with everyone?
No, man, I am so happy to talk about sets that are like, not even released, not gonna be released, but are gonna be released at some point in the distant future.
Oh, yeah, right. Alex's favorite. He knows everything about it. Well, so, it's interesting. Maybe I should have titled today's video differently. We'll see, obviously, if I come to regret that. But I feel like the decision to discuss everything going on today, it really is okay. Do we think that right now there's going to be a huge pickup or slowdown in the market based on a multitude of factors, right? As we've known historically, things slow down in the summer, right? And so do we realistically think that Pokemon is going to slow down here because of the summer? Or do we think that it's going to pick back up once the black and white set comes out next month, right? Another factor we also have to ask ourselves, right? This is just pure speculation because we don't know what the set's going to look like fully. But we obviously have our announcement of what the first mega set is realistically going to look like as it releases in September. It's going to be featuring Mega Lucario and Gardevoir as the two mains, right? Just me personally, it gives off Steam Siege Furious Fist vibes. And so because of that, you say, okay, well, do we think megas are going to save the market? Well, we know that as it stands, we've got Inferno X coming. That's a trademark that's happened. You assume it's going to be Mega Charizard. And then we just got confirmation yesterday for a set called Storm Emerald, which you assume is going to be a Mega Rayquaza set. So right now, we're kind of in this weird limbo spot where you say to yourself, okay, things are slowing down. It feels like it's because of the summer. A lot of the hype is kind of baked into the cake at this point going into the black and white set. If Mega is coming in, if the set can just perform halfway decent in this market that we're in, right, where things are kind of a little bit weaker, but the the Lucario set can just perform halfway decent, and we can just lead into what's going to presumably be significantly stronger sets with X Inferno and Storm Emerald, I believe that you could see a situation where megas could carry us for at least another year in the kind of current market cycle that we're in right now. It's hard to know for certain because, like I said, going back to it with the ultimate question, we're starting to see some weakness in the market. Is it fatigue? Is it the summer season? Is it a little bit of both? Who knows? There's so many questions, but I mean, let's talk about it, Alex.
No, man. I mean, I got the same vibes you did when I looked at it. Maybe it's just because those were the main characters from Steam Siege and Furious Fist, Lucario and Gardevoir. And, those sets were, even though Furious Fist has technically performed really well, but what a lot of people don't know is the first four sets of Evolution or of XY are a lot more like black and white print runs. So they were very short printed because the hobby just was still very, kind of, I don't want to say dead, but nothing near the hobby we know now. And it wasn't until later on in XY with Generations and Evolutions where things really started to ramp up. You had Pokemon Go, the cell phone game release, which really kind of blew the hobby up. I mean, guys, go back to this day, even the Logan Paul COVID era, even now, when you go back and look at the search results on Google Analytics on Pokemon Go, the game, it is still astronomically high. And so like it drew a ton of people in the hobby. A lot of your favorite YouTubers, some are gone now, but like a lot of the Pokemon YouTubers started up during that time in 15, 16 and really got big, like the Unlisted Leafs, the Leonhards, a lot of those people. And so all the sets that were released in like later 2015, 2016, they got higher print runs. They went back and reprinted a lot of the earlier sets, but not all of them. They reprinted Primal Clash, Roaring Skies, but they forgot about the first four sets. They didn't reprint those early sets, the XY base, Flashfire, Phantom Forces, and Furious Fist. And so Furious Fist has a very high price tag, but it's very much regarded as a weak set. Steam Siege, very weak set. It's risen now, but it's always been one of the least performing sets. And it's just not, the cards aren't very collected. And so, yeah, I agree with you, man. Like this set isn't like kind of getting me super excited. I think we might have that traditional kind of base set slump. If that's going to be like the first release set, it could just be that normal slump when a new era starts, and we might see, like I said, we talked about it last time. I think that may be the set we see MSRP on at release on booster boxes.
Well, here's the thing, right? I think it's going to come down to this. We know for a fact that based on at least the leaked images that we've seen so far, that there's going to be a standard Mega Venusaur and Latios, which you assume Latios is coming. What are they going to do with that? Like, because as we've seen before, right? I mean, perfect example. I could go down the list of sets, but right, like an easy one just to pick is Astral Radiance, right? Has a Darkrai on the box. There wasn't a Darkrai alt art. So just because we obviously see that there is going to include a Venusaur and they're going to include a Latios and, Latios potentially, you have to assume that there is a chance that it doesn't actually get an SIR within it, right? So for me, we're kind of waiting with bated breath as we go into it, because at this point, maybe just call it a sentiment. I feel like people are just waiting for a break.
Well,
Like people are waiting for a break.
Who even knows if they're going to have SIRs?
Yeah, it could be a new art design.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually what they do at a new era, right?
Yeah, I guess the question is, do we think we're in a new era, or is this kind of an extension, kind of like what we saw with the Diamond, Pearl, Platinum era, where they had an extension of that era, and they still called it as a part of Gen 4 when they did the remakes for Heart Gold, Soul Silver?
It's a good question, man. Again, like, this is why I just don't get in the habit of like looking too far ahead. I just kind of take it as it comes, because again, like I've said it before, I'll say it again. Like, if there's no actionable steps you can take, like, what does it really matter? What does it matter what's going to come? Like, you can't even get your hands on Black and White yet. You can pre-order it. You can't even pre-order the set yet. It's like you can't even do anything with the information you're getting. Why worry about it? That's kind of my thing. But like everything I'm seeing so far, unless they really, throw some stuff at us that we're not expecting, I would expect this to probably be kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And we'll probably see less scalping. Honestly, I'm going to say it right now. Well, no, probably not this set, the set after, but this set will be the one that scalpers really get crushed on, like the Pokemon Center buyouts, all that. I bet the next set after that, you'll actually see a quantity available on Pokemon Center, and it won't sell out on release day. Because this one will probably still sell out, because people will still be in that same kind of mindset that it's almost like a routine, they're like addicted to it. Like, oh, it's on sale, I gotta buy. But like, I think once people kind of realize when the set comes out and they can get it for MSRP or maybe under for someone making a sale, they're gonna say, wait, why am I pre-ordering Pokemon Center the day it releases? And then the set after that, people will probably be like, you know what, I'll wait, I'll get it later again. And so I'm telling you, I think we're almost there. I really think we're almost there.
I mean, here's how I'm looking at this right now, right? We don't know what, the Black and White set's going to look like the week of release. Right now, at least just looking at Black Bolt and White Flare, they're both hovering at around 120, 130 in ETB on presale. So they're high, right? Like MSRP for these items is like $60. So it's still selling for double MSRP, but we're a month out. And as we've historically seen a lot of times when it comes to these pre-sale items, if there is a huge, what's up?
Hold on. It's a little misleading, because like eBay's way cheaper.
Oh, really? What's eBay at?
Like, you can get a Black Bolt White Flare ETB, like both of them, for $184 right now. So those are like just
90.
over $90. Honestly, like if that trend continue, we might see like $70 to $80 ETBs at this point.
That's a great deal. Honestly, that's not that high above.
Well, there's just a few of them. One's at $183.99 and one's at $184.99. I'm sure it's P Football Pete's one of them. Let's check it out. Speed 2 Gaming, they're an okay large seller. And then Mantel Collectibles. Honestly, they're both not gigantic sellers. I'm trying to see where like one of the real big guys are at. Okay, P Football Pete has them at $189.88. So still about 95 in ETB. I mean, dude, we might see these break 90.
So the Scarlet, I'm seeing if I can find this.
I just typed in Black Bolt White Flare Elite Trainer Box and they all came up.
Well, so I'm curious. Why am I not finding a standard one on the Pokemon Center website?
I don't think they sell a standard.
Really?
Yeah.
So on the Pokemon Center website, they were selling the Elite Trainer Box Pokemon Center variations for $60. So what's the MSRP on these items? Is it 50 then?
I don't. You should know that. You're a store.
Yeah, we totally follow MSRP, just like every other store.
I don't know. I feel like they're usually $59.99 at like Walmart and Target nowadays, right?
Oh, it's 50. It's 50.
Okay, it's 50.
50 is
Okay.
MSRP. Yeah. One of the distros marked it as 50.
Okay. Okay.
So here's the thing then. Okay, so that's 50, right? If we're saying right now you can get it for, like Alex was saying, around 90, it's still a decent above, but like, I don't know. I guess in my mind is, if we're saying right now it feels like there's weakness to where this set could come down to like 80, 70, you could see yourself in a position where you're getting an item relatively close to MSRP and you can order a crap ton of it. And like, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how this set performs in the long term, because obviously, it's a Gen 5 set. And if you're a Gen 5 fan, you're going to love this set. If you're not a Gen 5 fan, you might like some of the art designs, but it's all Gen 5 Pokemon. So it's only fan servicing Gen 5 players. So who knows how that's going to kind of play into an effect of the demand of what I mean, we talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago on stream, is like, what's realistically going to be the $100 cards that people are going to chase in this set, right?
Right.
Like, obviously we're trying to follow what's going on in Japan. Like, that's going to be the biggest indicator when we're going and looking at the chases and saying, okay, like, what is it specifically with Black Bolt and White Flare that's going to carry us? I mean, at least right now, the main Zekrom chase card for Black Bolt is going for over 300, Ends Plot's going for over 100, and then the standard, SIR Zekrom's going for 118, and the White Flare set is basically doing the same minus the N, so it's just the 2 Reshurams. So between the two, I mean, you've got 5 cards that are going for like over $100, but after that, it's like there's a huge fall off where most cards are going for sub $40, which,
I
to be
mean,
fair, it's Japan, right? So it's not going to be as inflated in prices as the same way as English. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe the floor for that is a little bit more elevated. But I don't know. It'll be
dude, Crown Zenith right now, only the Mewtwo and Garatina are above $100 raw.
yeah.
So I mean, I think that's probably the closest comparison, right? I mean, where it has tons and tons of hits in the set. Maybe it only does have a few that really, really spike. I mean, in the beginning, of course, there's gonna be a lot of them up there. I think as it stabilizes, it'll still have more above 100s because everything's crazy right now, and it hasn't went through multiple like reprints and things where Crown Zenith did. So there's not so many singles that are introduced to the market. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's hard to get people. I just think people want to. They kind of like tend to chase like a few cards in each set, even if the set's deep. It just seems like, even when you look at Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, Evolving Skies, it just seems like it can only sustain like a handful of like top chase cards, and the rest kind of fall off.
So here's what I'll say, Alex. Obviously, this is Japan, right? This is not English. But if we go look at White Flare and we say to ourselves, okay, how many cards are above $20, right? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards that are above 20. So it's anywhere between 20 to $38. And then you've got the other 2 big cards. After that, the drop off is 12, 11, 10, 9. And then from there, it just basically goes down to about averaging $5 for each one of these IRs.
Yeah. I will say Jesse's Hands of Hobbyist point in the chat is a good point. The potential for God packs does up it too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing the same exact thing with Black Bolt. Like, you've got these cards, you've got like a handful of cards that go for over 100, and then you've got a handful of cards that go for over 20, and then after that, there's just a huge fall off where most cards are going for $5. I'm willing to say, honestly, depending upon how things come out the gate for English compared to what we're seeing with Japan right now, this could be a set where, this might be a hot take, you could probably master set both of these things. I mean, I don't know what the big chases are going to be, but we'll exclude the big chases. You could probably master set this entire set without the big chases for sub like $200. And with the big chases, depending upon the pricing on those, maybe 500-600, which that might sound like a lot to people, but for a set where its entirety is a bunch of IRs and SIRs, like the most we've ever seen, That seems really cheap in my opinion.
That it's crazy that it's gonna be cheaper than Prismatic.
Way cheaper than Prismatic. Way cheaper. Yeah, so I don't know. Call it what you will. I it's hard to say because, like Alex was saying, with eBay, obviously TCG Player, there's a little bit of an illusion there in terms of the disparity between the pricing, and so this is definitely going to be a set that you assume is going to show a lot more weakness than comparing it to the last specialty set. I mean, it's kind of hard to compete with Prismatic. So Black Bolt, White Flare. I think we've been saying this forever, right? But like, it's the catalyst. Like this set followed by the next mega. Those two sets are going to be so important to watch because
I still think TCG Player needs to change their policy, man.
Yeah.
They need to change their policy, and even if they want to keep it the way it is, they need to say if you pre-order an item, it's non-returnable unless it arrives damaged. That you cannot return it because there's so many people that will order it, and then if it goes down, they'll cancel. But if it goes up, they won't. It's just like, dude, I don't know. Like the reason eBay is so much lower all the time is because if you guys don't know, TCG Player only allows like legitimate hobby or brick and mortar, anyone they approve to actually sell on their pre-release. The general public, like if you have a seller account, even if it's level 4, you cannot sell pre-release on TCG Player singles or sealed until the day of release. That's why you see crazy drop-offs the day of release and all the YouTubers can make their video and say it's crashing. No, it's just because people finally get to actually list their products like they couldn't before. eBay, everyone can list anytime. And that's why you see like more of a true pricing. And so the problem is you have all these people who buy on TCG Player pre-release and they see it trend down, and a lot of stores get a lot of returns and cancellations because, oh, well, it's cheaper now. It's like, yeah, but you made the purchase. You should be able to stick with it. That's how I feel, at least. I don't know.
Yeah, it's yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's gonna happen here. But I definitely feel as if yeah, I mean I'm kind of reiterating myself at this point, but these two sets, they're gonna tell you a lot. Because Destined was what we were waiting for. Destined is what everything was hyped up for. And Destined's here. It's performing extremely well, but that's kind of it, right? Like after Destin, it's like, okay, well, people weren't hyped up about anything after that. Like, don't get me wrong, like Megas, they're going to be cool. I'm a fan of Megas. I love Megas. I think they're a cool design, but people weren't freaking out in the same way as they were when they saw the Rocket logo at the end of the World's promotional. Like
Dude, we
people
got to
were
talk about
losing
that.
their mind,
We got to
you
talk
know?
about that. This whole conversation is speaking like for 2 sets in the future right now, right? Guys, let me explain this to you. Team Rocket was, since I've been in the hobby, the most hype set that we've had ever in modern times. People were talking about it a year beforehand. Everyone was like, all these speculations, these visions of grandeur, like it's what everyone was waiting for. Sets would come out. I'm saving my money for Rocket. I'm not buying Journey. I'm saving mine for Rocket. I'm not. It was the biggest thing in the whole hobby, right? It comes out. Guess what? It did what every other set does. Comes out. Everyone's really excited. Gets opened. A few weeks later, just another set. No one's freaking out anymore. No one cares. People are looking forward to Black and White. They want to see the Megas. They want to see the Rayquaza. They want to see the Charizard. It's insanity in this hobby. Nothing's ever enough. Everyone thinks like the next set is always going to be the biggest deal in the world. And then when it comes out, it's always, oh, well, no, the next set's going to be the biggest thing. It's like, guys, the next set after that, nothing's going to be the next big thing. Everything's just another set, and everything's going to keep happening like clockwork. That's the truth.
No, I think the Rocket set was the big one, and now it's like, what's next, right?
And it's not even big anymore. It's just okay.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, like it was very overinflated out the gate. I mean, I remember when pre-sales were first available on TCG Player, they were pre-selling for 400, and we were like, how realistic is this, right? And we settled at 250, which is still the highest we've ever had a pre-sale for an item on release, which is insane still to think about. But ultimately there was obviously a lot of hype that died down in terms of the pricing because people were like, I'm not paying $400 for a booster box. It's madness, right? And so right now I think it's settling. What's it at, like 245 currently, I think, for the box or something around that.
It's 255, I think.
Is it still 250?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it's kind of, yeah, no, it's exactly, it's at 249. We'll say 250. We'll round up here. Yeah, so it's roughly at 250 right now. I mean, literally, that's kind of where it's settled. It's in limbo, right? There, it's not like it's having a huge run up.
folks. Did we lose Eli?
Idiot, Alex. I clicked the back button on StreamYard, and I meant to click the back button on a TCG player because I was looking at some things.
And he's gone.
Anyway, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, no. So it's settled at 250. I mean, Journey, if we're looking at the enhanced boosters, that's going for about 210 right now. So I mean, that one is, it's kind of in this range where it's like 200, 215, anywhere between that.
And here's my take on that too. It's just like people are like, oh, well, it's going to go to 200, dude. The only way Destin can go to 200 is if Journey goes to about 170, 180. You're not going to have Destin or Rivals cost the same amount as Journey together. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree with that.
Like, maybe they can both drop. I am no way trying to shill anything. If they can definitely both drop, that can happen. But no way Journey stays 210 and Destin comes down to 210. It's not happening.
Not at all. I mean, let's take a look at some of the other boxes and just have a conversation about them. I think one that I want to look at more than anything right now is, have you been looking? I mean, have you been seeing what's going on right now with surging, weirdly enough?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reprint's still shaking out. So I keep seeing like smaller sellers drop it down in like the 2 teens, 220s, and then usually they get bought up pretty quickly. It looks like all of the legitimate stores are holding pretty steady in the 230s, 240s.
Because lowest listed right now is 220 on TCG Player.
And it's usually like a small seller, right? Like how many sales do they have?
So there's one that's got 32. They've got 32 boxes with 15 sales, so 1,500-ish.
Oh, okay.
And they're a gold star seller with a hobby shop. And then after that, it goes to 225 Galactic Inkland with over 50,000 sales. So
okay,
they're gold star sellers.
Those are both new. Yeah. So those are newer ones.
Yeah.
The ones I were seeing were like 100 sales, 50 sales. So it looks like, yeah, those two definitely dropped the market. Other than after those two, it was up in the 230s, 240s. But
yeah, no, it'll definitely go up after that. I guess my thing is one of my distros forever has been saying like, yeah, don't worry, surging's still coming. And I check with my rep every week and he still confirms that we're going to get more surging product, which it's not going to be a crazy amount as far as I'm aware, but still enough to where it'll affect prices. So that's something I would be on the lookout for if we're just talking about, surging prices, because that's an item that is still much more likely to get continuation of reprints over the next year, as it is still a relatively new set. I mean, it's less than a year old.
One thing I will say, I do want to talk about cases, because in the past, cases haven't been as big of a thing at release, but because of Pokemon's supposed new business model, and that's all I can really say about it, is they definitely are looking to move a lot more product through regular retailers, right? Like big box stores and things like that. And I'm going to tell you the reason a lot of people are seeing these prismatic evolutions ETB cases hold up very strongly. I think they're still going in like the mid 1200s, is because all the ETBs are being sparsed out in Costco products and big box retailers and things like that. Whereas all those ETBs are going to be on the market, and that's why you see the ETB price dropping, but no one's going to have cases. The only way you get cases is through distribution, because all the big box stores slice them all open and put them out. And so we're going to keep seeing that, I believe, with a lot of these products. I think black and white's the same way. So look, I'll say this right now, even if you could buy black and white on a Walmart shelf, $50, $60 plus tax, if I could get a case for like $700, I'd rather overpay for a case. I would rather have a case, because in the future, when Pokemon is doing these restocks, very little is getting given to the distribution chains. It's all being given out to big box stores, meaning the cases in the future, they're going to be a lot more scarce. Like there's always been a case premium, but usually you've been able to get cases really cheap because like it was all went through distributors. I think with this new shakeup Pokemon's doing, I think cases are going to be more of a thing than ever, especially people who got those last few PC ETB cases before they started like limiting 2 per order and 1 per order and stuff, because no one's going to have it. People desire scarcity in this hobby, and having a sealed case is going to be scarce.
Yeah, no, 100%. Let's talk about some booster boxes that are performing well. So actually, just going back to before we go to that, I want to mention something. Speaking of case premiums, so right now, Evolving Skies lowest listed is going for 1,925. We'll just round it up and saying it's going for about 2,000 a box, right?
We're just gonna round it up 75.
I mean, but to illustrate the point I'm going to make, a case, if you were to say 2,000 times 6, that's 12,000, right?
Yeah.
Last sale, I think there's been 3 sales now on eBay for a case sealed was 15K.
Yeah.
So there's a $3,000 premium,
Yeah.
right? And Alex was talking about ETBs here, right? Because of obviously the way in which things have been limited currently and how
Well,
rare
just
it is
because
to
black and
replicate.
white's the next set out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's there's going to be a huge premium for sure.
Of course.
But let's talk about some sets that are performing well. I know there's one you had in mind that you were looking at, Alex. Paldea Evolved. That was one I feel like that's worth having a conversation of. Another one I feel like that's also worth looking at is Twilight. I don't know if you're seeing Twilight's on a run, dude.
It's
It
going
looks like it's
free.
going to hit 300.
So it's really funny. I was at my card shop today and we were joking with them because every time like it seems like I buy something, it's almost like the pricer, the people who price the products there look at my account. They're like, wait, why did Alex buy that? Let's check it out. Every time we go in the next day, the prices are risen. And so because like my friend who works with me, he keeps wanting to buy product and I have tax exempt at my store. So I buy it for him. And so we buy Paldea when it was still $2.99. The very next day we go in $3.50. So we just bought him a case of Twilight Masquerade at $2.50. We walked in today, they had it priced at $300.
Jeez
A box.
Louise.
It's just like every time I buy something, the next day we go in, it's risen. It's like they see, Nostalgianomics account bought this. Let's look into the market. Oh, we better rise it.
It's how it is, man. I mean, if you pay attention and you're not sleeping at the wheel and you say, hey, this guy who buys a lot of product, he's going pretty heavy. I wonder if there's a reason for that. Oh, well, what do you know?
It is funny, but yeah, man, Paldea, like, I made pretty much like a kind of like a joke. It wasn't really a joke video. I was just showing data. If people in the comments, I knew they were going to get all like flustered about it. I made a video today comparing Paldea to Evolving Skies, where obviously there's so many differences, but just the numbers are adding up to where Paldea is starting to look very similar to where Evolving Skies at its 2-year mark after it was released for 2 years. So I believe it was released in like August 21. By August 23, the box was $420 and the Umbreon VMAX PSA 10 was like $920. Well, now Paldea has reached its 2-year mark and the box is $350, $360 on the way up. And the Magikarp's going for around $2,000, $2,100 in a PSA 10. And so it's like, it's making very similar gap ups at very similar time frames that Evolving Skies did. And so obviously I'm not comparing Paldea to Evolving Skies overall, but the price ranges and like the movements are very similar, very similar.
Yeah, these older boxes, or as we kind of assume, less likely to be reprinted. I mean, who knows for Twilight? That's still up in the air. But, if we're just looking at Paldea, if we're looking at Paradox, we're looking at Temporal, they're moving in price. I mean, things are still on the up and up for the things that are safe. I mean, and we've talked about this before on stream. We'll continue to say it just so that it doesn't get convoluted here. When we talk about price corrections, price crashes, a normalization of the market, we talk about things that are likely to be reprinted, not items that are out of rotation or likely to not get reprinted because they're on the way out of rotation. A normalization of the market means you're going to be able to buy newer sets closer to MSRP. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden Evolving Skies is going to crash 50%. That's not what we're talking about here.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think the main reason is Pokemon likes to reprint?
I would say that, man, it's so funny because it's changed so much for how they address things. If you asked me that like 5 years ago, I would have said it was because of the player base. But then they started
that's
coming
one
out.
of the things I believe.
Well, but that was the thing because you saw what happened with Roaring Skies and how that affected things. Because you obviously had the shaming card that literally was just skyrocketing the boxes, and then you also had Primal Clash and that whole thing. But then now they've come out with specific items like League Battle Decks, Trainer Toolkits now have much more competitive cards. You've got just so much variety of product that gives people access to competitive cards for really cheap. It kind of makes it harder for me to make that exact same argument. So
let's at least just agree it's definitely a reason.
Yeah.
So the reason I said that is I just want to throw it out there because we talk about this in one of my Patreon chats. If it's at least a reason, they reprinted basically all of the Twilight cards in Prismatic. all the masks, they reprinted the ace specs, all the good stuff. There's a possibility, just a possibility, they don't see a reason to reprint that set because there's no need for the cards inside.
Yeah, no, my big thing is I'm literally like, Pokemon has kind of said, hey, we care less about reprinting things because of playability now, because we can just go forward and print some items in a different set and make a different version of it, right? Like you saw the Iono card when it first came out, it was going for $3-4, and now it's been in multiple different sets and promos. So it's like it's now worth so little.
Yes.
So my thing is I say that this is just where I am. I think Pokemon at this point, they're just printing to what they think is appropriate to demand, and they're trying to find like that balance. Because here, this is just, and I'll lay out my theory, and you can kind of, give your thoughts.
Yeah.
This is what I think has happened. I think Pokemon saw what happened in the first half of the Scarlet and Violet era, and they printed appropriately to demand, right? Which the demand wasn't that crazy. Then when the hot sets came out, they didn't change the amount they were printing because literally the demand picked up so quickly that they weren't able to anticipate how much they were going to need to print. And so because of that, they're playing catch up currently. And so we're not going to see a large amount of this older product get reprinted. By older, I mean like Surging, Twilight, in the same way as we'll possibly see for like Prismatic Forward because of their announcement. At least that's kind of what it's alluding to, because they literally said Prismatic 4, we're going to focus on hyper printing it, because they say, look, we would love to go back and print these sets. We could have never anticipated Twilight was going to be as crazy as it was. Surging was insane. And so we kind of have to pick and choose our battles right now, because obviously, they have lead times for when they're going to be printing a certain amount of stuff. I assume they had things lined up for like the future, as we're kind of seeing right now with some Surging product, and we had some Twilight earlier, but it doesn't feel like a lot now because they didn't think they were going to have to print as much as they are now going to need to keep up with demand. And so they're kind of scrapping it and saying, hey, we're just going to give out what we originally anticipated we were going to print based off of what the market was at the time in terms of demand. And we're going to move forward and focusing on the sets that we know are going to probably be much higher demand, since not only have they been hyped up so much, but we know we're going to have a lot better of a lead time since the sets themselves are significantly newer. And then from there, you'll start to see that kind of shift and adjustment to how Pokemon is going to ramp up their supply print runs, with the expectation of them now being able to know that they need to print, in higher quantities. That's my personal belief, but I mean, you can kind of pick holes in that if you have some disagreements.
No, I like that. I mean, I definitely did Jen's comment too, though. The super chat from the start, I said Twilight is Ultra Prism 2.0. That's always a possibility. If anyone doesn't know, Ultra Prism didn't get a reprint, and then they very end they threw a very small little reprint at it that didn't really do much, and that's why Ultra Prism was so expensive, even though it wasn't like the greatest set ever. It was just it never got a reprint, and it was scarce out the gate. And I feel like Twilight, I agree, Twilight could be something like that. But I also want to shout out, dude, I love it because these comments are great right now. Cryptomon, he said, what's funny is almost every dude on here 1 year ago was screaming, wait for the reprint. Don't buy $500 to $599 cases of the early Scarlet Violet sets. That's the truth. The I'm going to wait crowd really got blown out this year. The I'm going to wait crowd who refused to buy anything at release, who, did not want to sit on what we call dead money because things don't move in the first 1 to 2 years and there's thousands of reprints and all these things. They finally saw the error of their ways, right? Because here's the thing. You buy into cases at $600. What's the worst case scenario, right? Maybe trickles down 5 or 10%, or you sit on dead money for a year or two. And then usually the gains are exponential after that, and it makes up for it anyway. Or you play this game of waiting, and you hopefully get in before it rises, but you don't always. And I just think, this has kind of showed the error of thinking like that. Is this is what can happen when you wait. And I mean, dude, the Paldea, we talked about it when it was sub $600 a case. Literally cases now are going for a premium of around $2,400, I believe. You're 4x. You've made 300% on your money just by not saying I'm going to wait. And Paldea is not the only one. Twilight's headed there. All these other Scarlet Violet cases that everyone wanted to wait on. You're up double, triple your money. It's amazing to see, you know, like, I guess the changing of the hobby. And look, I'm not saying it won't go back to $600 cases and it won't go back to a time period where you are sitting on dead money for a period of years. But what's worse, like sitting on dead money and possibly not moving for a year or two, or missing out on a 300% gain? I think I'd rather sit on dead money and wait it out.
Here's my thing, is the only item that I can think of where you could argue it's, I guess, made somewhat sense to have waited, which we could have never predicted, of course.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. I mean, we knew there was going to be more prismatic product, but like right now, the Costco bundle, if you can one, get your hands on in person, fantastic. If not, ETBs have gone down because of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, at least on TCG Player, they're in the low 100s. You can probably get it, you know, closer to somewhere in the 90s. So, but kind of other than that, like,
And Kaiser TCG, he said $500 to $600 a box. That's 83 to 100. What kind of discount were they waiting for? People weren't waiting for more of a discount. That's why I'm saying the risk level was so low, almost none. They weren't waiting for a lower price. They didn't want to buy in because they kept saying, I could put my money elsewhere. I could buy X, Y, or Z, and I'll have time to buy that stuff later. And what they weren't counting on, they didn't have time. And what's funny is a lot of the stuff people were buying that, I mean, the reason I like to talk about this, because I always like to shove it in people's faces. I'm just like that. You know how it is. I used to get torn apart in my Discord, my own Discord, of people like saying, Alex, you're so dumb buying Scarlet Violet. It's brand new. You should be buying Sword and Shield. You should be buying Silver Tempest. You should be buying Astral Radiance, Brilliant Stars. And it's just like a lot of those boxes, when they were saying that, were already like, you know, $160 to $200. And it's like, so most of you guys have like doubled your money or so, maybe a little over. I've 3x'd on freaking Paldea Evolved, like in the same time, right? Twilight Masquerade has almost 3x. It's like over 3x. It's like the amount of money you would have made extra just buying in and believing in the Scarlet Violet era. It's kind of astronomical when you start doing the math right now.
Yeah, I think the next opportunity we're gonna see for that is right now. I mean, it just depends how patient you're gonna want to be here, right? But I think it's going to come with some of these weaker performing sets that are going to be closer to the MSRP mark, and it might not feel the greatest because you're saying to yourself, like, you know, depending upon where black and white set comes out at, $70 might feel like a good deal, and if it drops to 50 because of reprints or because, you know, demand in this market plummets, fantastic, dollar cost average, right? At least that's how I'm looking at it, right?
Wait, what are you saying? It's not going to feel good?
Well, I'm saying that people obviously don't like to pay significantly above MSRP.
Oh,
But I'm saying is if the price does go down to 70, some people might not feel great about it, but I'm going to say it's still a great deal because the percentages are going to be roughly around, what would that be, like 30-ish% above MSRP, 40% above MSRP, where historically over the past year, everything's been selling for 70+% above MSRP. So you're going to get it at a significant discount compared to what we're seeing. And if obviously, you know, gets printed more and prices do end up correcting for that set down to MSRP, like $50, you're going to be at a really nice dollar cost average where you're either at MSRP or slightly above. And that's going to be extremely valuable, in my opinion, in the long term. So,
well, and then go back to the case conversation too. It's just like, you can quote unquote say, you know, MSRP, but it's like, okay, go buy a case. Go to your log on bestbuy.com, log on Walmart, Target, and go buy your case. Go to a store, go to a GameStop store where you can't find cases. And so it's like buying a case at that price. It actually still makes sense because you can't find cases. There is no MSRP really on cases because no stores carry them. And so if you can find cases down that low, I still think it's a good buy.
Yeah, no, 100%. Want to just remind everyone, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, really helps the YouTube channel algorithm, gets the video out there for people. It's a good way to support the channel. Alex's obviously information is down below if you want to check out his channel. We'll start going into questions here in 5 minutes, but as always, if you're new to the channel, if you have a question for us, make sure in bold you say question, follow that by your question. Just makes it a lot easier for me as I'm going through the comment section so that I can kind of hopefully answer everyone's questions and not miss anything. But yeah, just kind of wrapping up before we go into the question section, my kind of overall take on where things are on the market is The next two sets, they're going to play a huge factor in the overall strength of the future set releases of the market. I definitely think that there's no denying right now there has been a slowdown just because of summer. Things are kind of in limbo, but ultimately that doesn't change the fact that the older sets, which are not going to get reprinted or are very unlikely to get reprinted, are still going to perform strong. Don't let that take away from anything. I mean, Pokemon as a whole is still the number one most valuable IP in the world. It's not even close. It's literally like 50 billion ahead of second place. So it's
All right,
something.
I want to ask my question first, though.
Yeah, you go.
Scarlet Violet's over now, so now we can finally ask it.
It's true.
Which era is better? Did it beat Sword and Shield?
I still like Sword and Shield better, personally.
Do you?
I do, personally. Yeah.
Dang.
I like Sword and Shield better, personally. And I'll give you my reasoning.
Here's what I'll say. I respect your decision, and I could see people saying either way. One thing I think is kind of like unequivocally true, though. Sword and Shield definitely has higher highs, but it has way lower lows. I think Scarlet Violet has a much more like, you know, like even keel to where like they don't have as weak of sets as Sword and Shield did, but you could also argue they don't have as good of sets either. So I think it has more of like a don't know, a better middle than.
I agree with that. I mean, what I was gonna say was, and maybe I'm illustrating what you're saying currently. Sword and Shield had way worse sets in terms of its flooring, but I think that in terms of the ceiling, Sword and Shield had better sets.
Yeah.
Like Evolving Skies, like don't get me wrong, Prismatic's cool. I really do love God packs. I think that they added a cool element. Demigods were obviously introduced in 151, but the art designs for Evolving, it's iconic. Like it is literally iconic. It is $2,000 a booster box for a set that's 3 years old. That is insane, unheard of. Like it's outpacing 10-year-old boxes right now in the space.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I look at that era and I say to myself, Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, Brilliant Stars, Lost Origin, like these are some sets that I think are so amazing, so iconic. And don't get me wrong, like there's some great sets in Scarlet and Violet, like the Team Rocket set's going to be a big deal. But like if I say Team Rocket, Prismatic 151, like it's not like I look at Twilight Masquerade and say, oh my God, Twilight is a Lost Origin set. Like I look at him like, yeah, it's got a Greninja, which is a cool card. It's got some other good cards, but you know, past that, like there isn't anything crazy that I'm looking in at that set and I'm saying it's blowing my socks off, right? Yeah. That's just me personally. Eevee's cool. Don't get me wrong, the Eevee card's cool. But it's not like, you know, it's not, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I compare the eras. I understand that probably most people's counter argument is going to be that like the set is more fun to open for Scarlet and Violet.
And that's obvious.
Yeah, because there's obviously, you know, more IRs and obviously, you know, that wasn't really a thing that was introduced until Brilliant Stars. So that's kind of a given. But I guess my thing, having now been a part of both for the full term, I still would say that just from an overall, just art design perspective, I definitely would say I enjoyed it a bit more. And not to mention too, like if I'm being honest, part and parcel, it just comes down to the fact that Scarlet and Violet Terra typing, not a big thing. It was a big whiff, man. The crystallization of the Pokemon with the crowns, it looked really goofy. They tried doing what they could to work with it. And obviously, if you look at the most popular sets past Prismatic, most of them are ones where they didn't have crowns, right? 151 didn't have crowns. Destined Rivals didn't have crowns. Journey Together didn't have crowns. So, you know, you obviously had crowns with Surging, which obviously was kind of the first one that really popped off where we saw a $200 plus. But, you know, it took a Pikachu to do it with the Latios, right? So
yeah, the reason I'm more of a Scarlet Violet guy is I could probably just from being a streamer is the opening experience. I would say it's decent for, you know, Brilliant Stars on, and obviously Crowns just like off the charts. But man, Fusion Strike Back is probably some of the worst opening experience you'll ever have. It just is, man. That is, dude. Those boxes had like 8 hits a box. like chilling and fusion and evolving and battle styles. Like it is alt art or bust. At least in like Scarlet Violet, they have a lot of like, decent hits that aren't god tier rarities, right? They have a lot of illustrations. They have a lot of, it just seems like you get more bang for your buck, more value, and it's not just an all or nothing type thing, which is very much how Prismatic feels. Prismatic feels like a Sword and Shield set. It's very all or nothing.
My problem with Fusion had, at least in my personal opinion, had less to do with my pull rates for alt arts, but it had more to do with the fact that
Sandaconda.
yeah. I literally, so back when I was opening the store a year ago, we had so much Fusion Strike that I was sitting on of like loose packs of Fusion, at least over 500,000. And I think at one point we did a restock and got like a total of 1,000 packs. Through that, we probably pulled right around 10 alt arts, and 7 of them were the Sandacondas. So for me, that is like brutal, where you're like, that's a hit as an alt art, and it's literally like $4. Devastating, right? So I know we pulled the Celebi, I know we pulled the Espeon, I know we pulled the Inteleon. We did pull a Mew, so actually we did pull more than I realized. But yeah, Sandaconda, we pulled at least 6 to 7. It was just
some of the alt art choices. Like one of the bounties I had last night was it was pull an alt art, you win a PSA 10, and the Reggie Drago was pulled
nice
from silver. It's just like, that's a win technically.
I mean, for what it's worth, I do think the Skunk Tank artwork does look cool, even though the Pokemon I could care less about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's, it's definitely interesting. I mean, hindsight's always 2020 here when it comes to like, when you look at the sets back on them versus now, how much are you kind of looking at through rose colored, lenses.
Well, no, you didn't have it. Like before you have good pull rates, you don't know any better. It just feels normal. Like Evolution, XY, Sun and Moon, they all have trash pull rates looking back from Scarlet Violet. But at the time, dude, when you went from XY, Sun and Moon and early Sword and Shield, and you went to those last 4 trainer gallery sets, oh my gosh, it felt amazing. It's like, oh, I can pull double hits. It was great. So you don't, when things get better, it makes older things look worse. But at the time, it still felt normal and good.
Well, I guess my thing is like, let's take Lost Origin, for example, right? Obviously, as an investment piece, I went heavy on it. But from a personal, like, collector, I was not a big fan of the set. The only card that I really fell in love with was the Aerodactyl. Like, that was a card that I absolutely loved, fell in love with the set. And looking back on it, I now look at the set and I say to myself, okay, I was maybe too harsh on it because I was just really let down by the Giratina artwork, because I felt like it was kind of an acid trip when I was looking at it. It wasn't really like what I was hoping for in terms of a display of the distortion world. Because if you do look at the trainer gallery for it, right, it's got multiple Pikachu cards, from a full art black border to a yellow border to a VMAX. It's got obviously the Charizard, it's got a Gengar, it's got a Snorlax. Like, it's got multiple different popular characters on top of a really big chase card with a Giratina, an Aerodactyl card, which I think is one of the top 5 in terms of art designs in the Sword and Shield era. So it had chases that you could definitely get, and the subset was really cool. So, I mean, obviously, like a lot of people are saying, opening experience is going to feel different because IRs versus SIRs are, a completely different game compared to just the trainer gallery and alt arts. So
you're about to catch a stray calling freaking Shinji Konda's artwork an acid trip. Just saying. Just be careful.
calling
there's a lot of hardcore fans of that artist now.
I don't know, man. I guess my thing is as someone who is like a diehard Gen 4 fan, like everyone knows, like I don't shut up about Gen 4. The distortion world for me was one of the coolest things when I was a kid growing up. And so I wanted to see a more like, I wanted to see the art design to show more of that. Because when I look at like the Giratina card itself, it feels like there's so much going on in terms of the background that I don't really know what I'm looking at. Versus I want like a clearer picture of the backdrop. Like when you look at the Moonbryon or you look at the Aerodactyl, you know what's going on. When I look at the Aerodactyl, I can see all the different Pokemon in the background, and I can see the detail that they're trying to put in with the card. Whereas when I look at the Giratina, I'm like, I see just a bunch of shapes. Like that's literally all I see. So
dude, AA Alex has got a really good point in the chat, actually.
All right, we'll go into the questions, then we'll start. We're already 50 minutes in, so we'll go
Yeah.
into questions here. Base sets are usually unpopular because of the introduction of new Pokemon. Since the Mega Evolution era doesn't have new Pokemon, do you think the base set will be extremely popular? Well, so that's the question, right? And this is something Alex, and by when I say Alex, I mean Alex Nostalgianomics, and I, briefly said, right, is do we think this is a new era, or do we think that this is just an extension in the same way? Because to be fair, right, if you go back and look, you had two different base sets for the Diamond and Pearl era. You had Diamond and Pearl base set, and you had Platinum base set, and then you had Heart, Gold, Soul, Silver base set. So we know you can still have multiple different base sets all within one encompassing like kind of era.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that this set could be viewed as a base set in its regards.
Well, also we talked about before, the end of eras, the reason a lot of times they do well is they introduce new things. Like, XY introduced well, no, they didn't. XY had megas the whole time, right?
XY's had megas the entire time, yes. But
Yeah.
the thing they introduced, which
Oh,
was
the gold border,
extremely weak, it was the gold borders.
Yeah. Then Sun and Moon had tag teams, Sword and Shield, alt arts, then Trainer Gallery. Well, if this is truly seen as more of an extension and they're introducing megas, then yeah, it might not perform like a base set.
Well, yeah, the question is, are they going to continue with SIRs and alt arts, right? Because if you look at like the Diamond and Pearl era, right? Diamond and Pearl era, they introduced level X's. And then on the back half of that, they obviously had reverse holo shinies. And then going into the platinum era, or not the platinum era, sorry, going into the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, you introduced primes and legend cards, right?
Yep.
And then eventually you had like the shiny set, which was like a huge deal, Call Legends. So there was multiple different art style introductions that happened. So it's entirely possible we could get a new form of art design, or it could be just something where we just get megas that also happen to as well be SIRs and IRs. We don't really know. Pokemon will obviously kind of reveal most of that once we get some inklings in Japan next month, because it comes out. Well, it says, well, I shouldn't say because it says Mega Evolution, learn more on July 10th. That's what it says.
Hey,
specifically.
I'm an XY guy. I love XY. I love Mega Evolutions. I couldn't be more excited. And so with a totally biased viewpoint, I am very biased. Even I'm saying not super excited about that first set, the Lucario Gardevoir. But I don't think that means anything if the Rayquaza set and the Charizard set are great. It just might be a less popular of a set, but still may do well. And so it's just like, unless they put some more stuff in there to get excited about, I have visions of old XY, and I'm like, Furious Fists, Steam Siege.
I will agree with Mason here, though. Pumped for full art items. Those are going to be nice to finally have an introduction. So, because forever it's just been golds.
Yeah, the gold items are very strange.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Can we just have a full art variation? Like, why is it taking us so long to get one of these?"
Yeah.
All right, let's go into question section. So, because we are cruising, I have all 9 Mega Evolutions in PSA 10. Got them last summer cheap. Do I sell now or wait a couple months for the hype? No, I think. Alex, do you want to answer? I already know my answer.
I mean, right now, I would wait. Like, I think, especially the Charizard will probably do even better when the Mega Charizard comes out. Yeah, I would wait a little longer if I owned them.
You have to look at it this way, right? I mean, we've kind of said this. Buy the rumor, sell the news, right? Isn't that what happens? It's like the lead up is where you're going to get the biggest premium. Once you start seeing some of the art designs for these mega cards, you're going to see a run up in their mirrors, right? We're assuming there's going to be a Mega Rayquaza based off the trademark name. We're assuming there's going to be a Mega Charizard. We already assume as well there's going to be a Mega Lucario Gardevoir. These cards potentially are going to have mirror run-ups in their older variations of them. Watch what the market does, then kind of make your prediction off of that, because I think that's going to be your biggest indicator. And then once the run-up happens, as it's getting closer to the lead up to the set, or the set just has come out, then you can start to ask yourself whether it's worth to sell it, because at that point you assume then it's kind of going to die out at that point. Not financial advice, not 100% certain. But
anyone that's watched us any of my time at all, I mean, I know I've made videos on my channel. Me and Eli have talked about in these lives. We've said this like multiple times now, just this year. We were very early on the megas. We told people about the megas back when they were like announced at Worlds, and the megas didn't even run for months and months after. You just started hearing about megas like recently again. And we were talking about getting into those when no one was talking about it. And then the Team Rocket thing, like, we were talking about, hey, start buying any Giovanni cards. You want to go back and buy the vintage, Team Rocket cards. Like, we were talking about that when it was announced. No, nothing had moved yet. Things don't move until the set gets there, because the majority of guys, look, I know everyone gets in this idea that everyone's investing in Pokemon. Everyone knows all this information. You are the very 1.0001% of 1%. More normal people, they're not online watching Pokemon content. They're not investing in Pokemon. They're out living lives. They don't know about the news until the literal set is like comes out and advertising starts happening and it starts appearing in stores. That's why you see the major moves happen a lot closer to the time. Getting in now is early. Getting into all this stuff is early. You're early still, man. You're early.
I'll have you start off and then I'll give my answer, Alex. How did your wives take your transition to full-time? Also, how did they help you and support you?
I mean, mine was fine. I've been an entrepreneur on and off my whole life. I've always had different businesses and things like that. So my wife's used to the crazy lifestyle. So it was seamless transition. It was just like any other day, really.
Mine, it was funny because I trademarked my business for Pokemon USA in July of 2020. And so from there, I had met my wife the following year in February. And basically a couple months like after we had like started like dating and like became, girlfriend, boyfriend, she wanted to hang out with me more. And I told her I was like kind of working on this business that I was passionate about. And she was like, hey, if I help you with the business, does that mean we'll get stuff done faster so we can hang out sooner? And I was like, heck yeah. And so it was one of those things where like she wasn't necessarily bought it in the same way because, it was 2021. Like this was over COVID. Like things were still relatively shut down. So it was just me keeping myself busy. But then as the business continued to grow and she was already part of the early stages of it, like less than a year old, it was something that she already understood before it became what it is. And so it was a very easy transition where, she was working part-time, or no, she was working full-time as a server. And my business was really starting to take off. And I straight up was like, look, obviously, like right now, I'm going to either have to hire someone or you can help me with this. And we can kind of continue to grind this out without having to like, pay someone a full-time position. And then from there, we can kind of just continue to add on more people to the team. And she was completely bought in at that point because she was seeing obviously the growth and the trajectory and knew that I was going to just drown otherwise. So, I mean, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for her 100%. So she's been extremely involved. So shout out to her. And right now, I mean, we're at 7 employees at this point with our business. We're going to continue to hopefully grow that over the next several years. And she's very much still involved, but does a lot less more of the manual labor now. Same with me. I mean, it was a grind the first year. It was all just like, or actually the first couple of years, it was all just packaging boxes and stuff. But now we have a team that does that. And so it's more managerial work at this point with her helping manage social media and, event managing and making sure the ship is running smooth at the shop. So, but it's a journey, man. I've been grateful. I'm very grateful.
Eli's story is more like my story on my first business. Like, cause back when I was in my mid-20s, when I was like really growing the lawn care company, I met my wife. We like, this is why like we have such a strong relationship is I literally had nothing. Like, no, I was out of college. I had just bought out a business. I was growing my company. Our dates were Dollar Menu and Redbox, baby, or Little Caesars and Redbox. Like, that was it. We did nothing. I had no money to spend. I was just throwing every ounce of my energy and money into growing the business. And so it's like, I definitely went through that same similar thing, like when I was growing the lawn care company. But then like, the Pokemon business came about like later on when I was in my 30s. And so I had a little more established, like both like, with finance wise and, she had a better job and things. So it was a lot easier transition, I would say, than my first business.
Shout out. First and foremost, we already answered the question, but I still want to just give a shout out to Did Jen. Thank you so much for the $2. Next person, shout out to Don. Man
What up, Don?
of the hour as always. Big question. SF or SC for SV sets? And how do you think MTG FF will do in the long run? So just so that we're understanding the abbreviations, SF or SC, he is referencing
Shrouded Fable?
Yeah,
Or
Shrouded Fable or
Stellar Crown?
Stellar Crown for SV sets. How do you think Final Fantasy for MTG will do in the long run?
I'm taking Shrouded, baby.
You're taking Shrouded over Stellar?
I'm taking Shrouded at the current price points. Yeah, I like Shrouded because it hasn't moved yet. Like, we'll see. And then, dude, I think Final Fantasy collector boxes will be the #1 collector box in Magic the Gathering.
I mean, they kind of already are.
I think it's gonna pass Lord of the
In
Rings.
terms of performance, it already has passed Lord of the Rings.
No, not collectors.
Yes. Oh my god.
No,
Yeah.
dude.
Well, unless
performance up till now, not total value.
Oh, not total value. Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
was
think it's
about
gonna be.
to
I think
say.
it'll be the most expensive collector box in Magic the Gathering.
Well, I guess my thing is, let me double check and see where Lord of the Rings is right now. Because last time I checked Lord of the Rings, it was, yeah. So Lord of the Rings right now is selling for 900, like 930. Whereas Final Fantasy's at 1200 right now. So it's already blown past its price point.
What was I thinking of then? Oh,
You're
Tales
probably
the
thinking,
Tales of Middle Earth. The Tales of Middle Earth box. It's 1900.
no, you're not thinking of the Tales Middle Earth box. You're thinking of the holiday scene
Oh,
box.
the special edition.
Yeah, you're thinking of the holiday
Yeah.
box.
The LT. Okay.
Yeah, that's different. Well, so they're coming out with what? So those are two different items. So basically, what Magic does is because they have serialized, they can't do reprints, right? Because then that just messes with serialized.
It's such a beautiful thing to hear, isn't it?
So because of that, they have to print a completely separate item in order for them to make it to where they can have more of that product. So what they've done is with Lord of the Rings, they created the holiday, box, which was their version or the special edition, right? For this version of the collector. They're going to do that as well with Final Fantasy. So I don't know how much there's going to be. I've been told it's not going to be a ton, but that's going to happen probably in the next 6 months, I would say, presumably. But my distro has already notified me about it. And you can get serialized cards as well.
What a fantastic idea, right?
One thing to I hate to say this. I don't want to drive FOMO. One thing I will say, the Tales of Middle Earth, or sorry, you got me mixed up already. The special edition holiday box, they were printed significantly less than the standard one, and that's one of the reasons why the price is so much higher than the regular. Final Fantasy box, when they do their special edition version, be ready for the same thing to happen.
I'm gonna create more FOMO.
It's gonna be crazy. Like when that one comes out, it's going to probably come out the gate at like $2,000. And that sounds crazy to say. Well, it'll run up to that, is what I guess I'll say. It'll run up to that pretty quickly.
Do you know if any Playbox reprints are out yet?
Playbox reprints are out? Yeah, no, there was one last week.
Right. So my card shop, we were talking
Wait,
about.
are you talking about
Yes,
Final Fantasy? Yeah, last week.
They changed the packs. The original packs are all white. If you guys look at the new play packs, they have the same kind of like discoloration the collector packs do. So the first print are going to be the only ones now with the all white artwork packs. Pretty crazy.
So what do the new ones look like then?
They're like an off-colored, almost more like the collector packs. Like they're not a white pack. And so like, yeah, we were all talking about that at the card shop. I'm like, dude, is this going to be, are people going to care? But like my deal is I don't know the Magic community. If it was Pokemon, I would buy it up because I know how Pokemon collectors are. Magic collectors are different. They're game players. I don't think they care about stuff like that as much.
Yeah, they wouldn't care about as much.
Yeah, if this was a Pokemon thing, if Pokemon printed a new product and it was completely different pack art, oh, I would load up. It'd be game over. But I don't know if that's going to mean anything in Magic or not.
I mean, at least the sentiment that I gather from the shop in my community, it's one of these big things where people are liking to chase the playable cards, and they also at the same time are liking to chase the expensive cards. And by expensive, I mean like the expensive playable ones. Because that's the
Right.
thing, right? Like if you look at some of the most expensive cards right now with the really cool art designs, they're very playable cards. It's not like don't get me wrong, there's some waifu cards, but like Vivi, disgusting. Like Vivi is one of the most broken cards they've ever come out with. Like it's gross. It should be banned in my personal opinion. Like people don't get me wrong, One Ring pretty bad, Vivi way worse in my personal opinion. I think it's night and day worse. Um and like the only comparison is the commander from OTJ. How am I forgetting her name? But there's this one commander from OTJ. Wow, I always forget her name. Anyway, very similar layout to how it works. Stella Lee. Sorry, Stella Lee. This not only cost one less and it's or no, it's the same in its mana cost, but the activated ability that it allows you to generate additional mana with, it's just so gross. It's like, I don't know. Vivi is such a disgusting card. And then you also have, I mean, people do like the characters. Don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, people love Cloud, people love Yuna, but like these cards are still extremely playable. Like extremely, like Sephiroth, an extremely playable card. Really, really good card. Same with Buster Sword. I mean, the traveling chocobos, I would say, are the real cards where you're like, okay, people are obviously chasing those more because of the rarity of the cards themselves. They're good. Don't get me wrong. They're great cards, but I mean, there's such a huge premium because, getting a neon chocobo, let alone one of the serialized ones, which sold for 50K.
That's Sephiroth Surge Foil is the best card we pulled on stream.
Oh, really? You pulled the Surge?
Yeah.
Dude, that's that. I mean, if you don't include the chocobos, that's the number one hit of the set.
Yeah, we pulled one.
So that's huge. Yeah, I've pulled a couple regulars. I personally haven't pulled a Surge. I know it's been pulled in shops. So surprisingly, a chocobo never got pulled in the shop. We had a ton of Surge foils of both.
I mean,
Yuna,
dude,
Cloud, Sephiroth.
77 worldwide. I mean, come on.
No, but I'm talking about the neon ones, not the gold ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, none of the neons got pulled. But anyway, yeah, before we get too much off of a tangent, yeah, I think Final Fantasy, I mean, if we're just looking at the collectors, like, I don't know, dude, Final Fantasy, I don't see it slowing down. I'd love it to because I'm out of it in my shop and it sucks because the price has gone up so much and it would have been nice to obviously, kind of maximize a little bit more, but.
Yeah, I'm going to respond to Nomad. He said, I can't believe how many people care about Chocobo. I didn't think it was that popular. It's not that it's that popular. It's what I've been saying from the beginning. People want serialized. People love serialized, man. Not having to worry about the PSA populations and how much they're going to rise, not have to worry about reprints. People like that. They like the scarcity and the kind of like the finality of only having this much printed, no reprints, and only having this many in existence, no more added.
Yeah, there's definitely a big appeal to the 77 of the gold chocobo and knowing that you're going to have a chase card that's only going to have a certain amount. People are going to pay a premium for that. I mean, I will say it's harder to sell. It's much more niche. I mean, like I have a guy that literally pulled a Mox Jasper in the shop serialized and he's been struggling to sell it at like a listed price, but that's just because it's one of those things where, you have to find a certain base that wants it. But with the chocobo specifically being a Final Fantasy character that is obviously part of the it's part of the game itself, so it's more popularized than just a specific card that happens to interact with the Pokemon or the Magic game. Then obviously it's going to have a player appeal as well as a collector appeal much more.
I mean, I remember when the sports charts, when like the top sports card sales ever, I remember when MLB, NBA, NHL, and whatever, what did I say? NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL. Anyway, all the major sports, when they started to make those one-of-one serialized and sports cards took off, you saw the majority of those top 10 lists all get replaced with modern cards because people they like the serialization. Like the top cards all held up for obviously Mickey Mantle's always top, Honus Wagner, like Wayne Gretzky, but it's like a lot of those top 10, top 20 cards were all dethroned by modern one-of-one cards because people just want the serialization. It's just that's where things are headed, dude.
Yeah. No, it's crazy, man. Now that it's over though, What are we gonna rank SV in order?
All the sets? Oh, dude, come on. That'll
Hold
take
on.
forever.
Isn't there?
That'll take forever. You really want to do this?
I want to do a visual of this. They probably have one for.
All right, I'll do it really fast. I will. I think I can get it done pretty fast.
Hold on. I would like to. Man, I don't want to get too carried away with this, but isn't there a? There's probably Scarlet and Violet. Someone's got to have made it, right?
What, a tier list?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I mean, we can just burn it. If we, I mean, burn through it right now, but I think it'd be cool from a visual perspective if we could pull it up. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sets. All Gen 9 Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sets. There's got to be one that's... See, that's annoying. It's all these rankings for, like, individual sets. Anyway, yeah, just go through it. Just give us your takes.
All right. Top set overall. I mean, this is the problem. How are we ranking them? Investability, like what we like most fun to open, like what is it?
Let's talk about take investability out of it.
Just what I like the most?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a gambler, so I'm prismatic still gonna rank really high for me. Anytime you can pull a pack of cards worth thousands of dollars, it always has to rank high. I mean, I feel like
me the degenerate.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have to put prismatic at top. I'll go prismatic. 151 Paldea Destin. Paldean Fates. Surging Sparks. Temporal Forces, Paradox Rift, Twilight. Journey Together. Stellar Crown, SV Base, Obsidian Flames. Oh, and then I'll throw Shrouded Fable up there, like probably ahead of Journey and Stellar. I actually like Shrouded.
So I don't want this to obviously be the entire. So we're gonna try and do this quickly, but I feel like it's good to have a visual for this.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
They have all of them except for Journey and Destined.
Okay,
which is fine. I mean, we can say
cool.
I mean, Destined S, pretty easy, right? Where would you put Journey? That's the real question.
B or C?
Really? You put Journey that low? I put it in an A.
Is that crazy?
I put it in an A at least, but that's just
chat. Who's crazy here? Is it me? Am I off base here?
Journey? I don't know. Okay, so let's just get this out of the way. Do we think Obsidian's a D?
Yes.
Do we think not Paldea? Do we think base set is better than Obsidian?
I do.
Yes, I agree. Surging Spark, what we think it's an A tier probably?
I guess. Not. You don't think it makes S? A? A's fine.
I think A's fine. Obviously 151 we're putting an S, yes.
Yeah, prismatic S.
Prismatic, we're putting an S, yes. Paldean Fates?
Ooh, that's hard.
Paldean Fates.
Dude, that's hard, man. Do you think it deserves S?
I wouldn't put it at S. I'd put it probably at A. Me personally, but
that's fine. I like that.
Paradox. I'd put Paradox at B. What do you think? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Paradox at B. Stellar Crown.
C.
B or C?
I think C, dude.
C. C's fair. Temporal, probably B as well.
Yep.
Twilight, probably.
That's the hard one.
Twilight's hard.
Do you think it's like the top of B, maybe?
I think it's either the top
or
of B
bottom
or bottom of A.
Yeah.
I think there's a tier break. I think I'll give it bottom A.
Yeah.
I personally think it's better just because when I look at the heavy hitters in A compared to B, it feels out of place in B.
All right, I got it here. Where are you putting Shrouded, dude?
Shrouded, me personally, probably putting it in C.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how I would do. So then you say Prismatic's your number one, right?
This is like my order, I think I said.
Is this your order?
The only thing I would change probably is put Shrouded ahead of Stellar. That's probably it.
So this is your
Yeah,
ordering?
I like this order.
So, and then you would put
I'd put temporal ahead of
people are
paradox.
saying put stellar at D. That's crazy.
Yeah, I like this.
I think for me,
And then I would throw Destin up there with S, and I would throw Journey probably with B with paradox and temporal.
so if it were me, Destin still goes first. I'd probably do this. And then I would do this. I'm really indifferent about this.
Yeah,
I feel like
I don't care
this
either way.
fits better in A because of the other A's, but I could totally see it being in that tier break, right?
Yeah.
And then I would just switch this around, and then that's it. And then I would put I'd probably put if it were me, I would probably put this, if we're adding Journey, that would be the difference. Is I would add Journey, I'd put it in A, and then I put it here, this here, push that down to B. That's how I would do it personally. I don't understand what the hate is for Journey. I think it's a great set. I understand it's a smaller set. People hate smaller sets. That's why a lot of people are dunking on
Yeah, it makes
Stellar.
it hard to grade. I think it's a decent set.
I love Paldea.
I think it's better than Stellar.
I'm a huge Paldea guy. I've been a huge Paldea guy since day one.
Yeah.
So
I like it. I like everything. I think we're pretty close to each other.
Yeah, you just inverse some of them by like one. Yeah, pretty close there. But yeah,
I mean, it sucks. It sucks because like, I don't know, like the chat's so hard because there's obviously people just trying to like have fun and troll. And it's hard to actually get a gauge of like what other people actually think. But I feel like a lot of people would make their list relatively similar.
I don't think it's that far off. You know, some people are going to be upset that you're going to put one over another, but they're back to back, you know?
Like someone put Paldea is F. Like, come on.
We didn't put the black and white set anywhere. We forgot to do black and white.
I mean, I don't really know it. Like, it's got to be like at least A.
I think it's A. I think it's probably A, right? People are going to probably agree with me on this one. I think it would be right. Well, okay, disagree, agree, but like I think it's ahead of Journey. But I think that it's ahead of Journey. Honestly, I think you could argue it's probably going to be this is so controversial maybe. I think it's ahead of Paldean Fates.
Who?
The black and white set.
Dude, I just don't know enough about it. I've opened the Japanese. I'll tell you what. One of my favorite cards ever is the Silver Dialga from Phantom Forces. And dude, that white Reshiram has very similar vibes. I pulled it. It's very similar vibes. That all white, that white out card, man. It's gorgeous.
I loved it. The original was so sick. I remember I used to run it in my back when I was like really big into playing tournaments. That was one of the decks I run. It was a Typhlosion Reshiram deck. It was so fun, and I just used the full arts. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into the next question. Hold on one second. I need to go up so far. Bear with me here. A lot of questions. Make sure everyone leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. Really helps the channel.
Was that a Freudian slip there, guys? He said,
what?
Bear with me. Is that telling? Is that telling of where the market is headed?
When the inevitable downturn occurs, how hard do you think main hit slabs will get hit? Down 20%, 30%. Think 151 Zard, Bubble Mew, Greninja, Paldea Evolved, Magikarp.
Dude,
Paldea Evolved Magic. Yeah.
They literally Pokeball cards, man. You know this. You've been here. They already have, dude. 151 Charizard was $1,100. It's down in like the 600s. What kind of more downturn are people waiting for? Like 151's almost out of print. I don't know, man. I think Charizard has pretty much bottomed. I mean, maybe we see a little bit of stagnation. Maybe it drops a little more. I think anywhere in this range, if you're wanting a PSA 10 Charizard, especially as 151 gets closer and closer to out of print, I think it's probably a good time. Bubble Mew, who knows if we get another reprint of Paldean Fates, it's looking less and less likely. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But like that card has dropped a great amount. Greninja's down in the 600s, almost like I mean, Magikarp's the only one that you could say it just went on that crazy run to 3K and now it's back in like the low 2000s. That could probably drop back in like the mid to high teens. But I mean, dude, I think a lot of these have already dropped a huge amount. I mean, dude, you've got a lot of the Paldea Evolved cards. Like Chien Paos is ending at auctions at like $60 and $70. I don't know what people are waiting for. I mean, this is the drop. We're in the drop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Charizard right now. You know, I'm looking at Poke data. Sales were showing at 1,000. Now it's showing in the lows of 700. So that's a drop. Bubble Mew, it looks like it's correcting. I will say that it was at around almost 1,100, and then it dropped all the way down in May to 750. Now it's going back up. It looks like it's
That's like
pushing.
a 40% drop.
Yeah, that's there's corrections.
I mean, I don't know if people are waiting for another 30%, but dude, that seems wild to me.
Yeah, the Bubble Mew's moving back up again. But yeah, there was a significant drop for a little bit. So
now, if you're talking about like destined rivals or something, yeah, I mean, I mean, I think those are probably gonna have some good drops coming. But it's just like, dude, some of these other cards, like the ones you name, 151 Jard, Bubble Mew, Greninja, dude, they have went through massive corrections.
yeah, no, I mean 20 to 30% not. You know what I will say though? You want to talk about a card that hasn't really done much? I love the art design. The Aerodactyl, it's kind of just sitting sideways. The alt art is at 120 right now.
The Lost Origin.
Yeah, like at one point it went up to 200, and now it's at 120.
I think it's. I will say the alt arts are starting to move. The Umbreon has corrected up quite a bit. At the lows, it was starting to end at auctions for like 21, 2200, and now it's back in the like 25, 26 range. We're seeing the Gengar VMAX correct. I think it's back up in the 1400s now. So we are starting to see some of the top alt arts kind of rise again first. And I think the Aerodactyl is just kind of like on the tail end of that. It'll probably start going up again, but I think the top ones are just moving first.
Yeah.
I think Rayquaza VMAX is moving up again.
I'm curious what the PSA 10 on that is. I mean, because if the raw is going for around 120,
I just ran one on my pack breaks. I was gonna say like 330.
Yeah, it's good ratios. The 10's valued. That means in my opinion, the raw is undervalued.
Well, Lost Origin actually had harder grading rates than the other sets did. Mm-hmm. The Giratina, the Aerodactyl, they were actually harder to grade.
At least on pop reports, it's showing there's more 10s than 9s. Showing there's 1,000 more 10s than there are 9s.
Of what?
Of the Aerodactyl. There's 4,200 10s and there's 3,300 9s.
Maybe it was just the Giratina. I know the Giratina was like
Giratina,
one of the lowest.
There's more 10s and 9s as well.
What?
7,700 10s, 7,100 9s.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a lot of the Sword and Shield era. Sword and Shield era had really good printing. A lot of people forget that for the I mean, especially if you
overall,
look at,
yeah.
Like, I mean, let's go look at like, man, I can only imagine with Evolving Skies.
The Evolving Skies cards are all like 70% gem rates. It's crazy.
They're so high to hit 10s. I mean, the Glaceon, let me look at the Glaceon. Oh my God. 8,400 10s, 2,300 9s. Yeah. Like
80% gem rate.
Dude, that's insane. That's insane. I mean, the Umbreon itself, 17,000 10s, 4,500 9s. Yeah, I've sent multiple Umbreons in and they've all gotten 10s. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's one at the card shop right now. They had in their case and it's on the borderline. I was thinking about picking it up and trying for one.
Yeah. Let's go to next question. Oh my God, so many questions. Is that November trademark confirmed to be Mega Ray set? It's super speculative. We have no clue. It's just based off the name. It's what makes the most sense. I mean, that's literally the best answer I can give. Did 151 actually bring people back in the hobby, or was it mostly pocket? If yes, then one prismatic plus DR do the same thing.
No, I think it was 151. A lot of it. I mean, personally, I know. Just go back. I can go back to my comments around that time, and there were so many people in the comments just saying 151 brought them back in.
Yeah,
Not taking anything
There's
away
a
from
lot of that in
Pocket.
the
Pocket
shop.
has brought millions of people back in, but 151, it had its own audience too.
Yeah. Would you trade a booster case of Surging for Paldea? Yeah. What? How would you not take that deal? You're making this seems. Am I missing something?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Surging is going for $100 less than Paldea right now.
It doesn't
You're
make
literally
sense.
saying, would I like an extra $600? Yeah. What? Yeah, that's a weird question. Rapid fire here because we're behind. Better set Shrouded Fable or Stellar Crown.
Dude, I like Shrouded. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah. Sounds like people will disagree. I like Stellar more. I love the Bulbasaur and I love the Squirtle. I think they're great arts. I think they complete it with the Charmander. That's just me. 1 year from now, what SV sets are going to be outpacing Sword and Shield for overall price?
Dude, that's Jesse, man. That's too broad. Like,
yeah, I don't know what that means.
I mean, Paldea and Twilight are already outpacing a good amount of Sword and Shield sets, right? Like, what Silver Tempest is getting caught by Paldea. They're more than Darkness and Vivid, and I mean, I don't know, like they're not going to catch like freaking Lost Origin and Fusion Strike.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know how to elaborate more than what you said. Follow-up question: how do you see Final Fantasy doing in 3 to 5? It's hard to say. I mean, if it's following the pace,
$2,000.
I mean, if it's following the pace of what what Lord of the Rings is doing, it'll be at 2K in the next couple of years. Probably
I'm gonna say 2K plus.
Probably be at least 25 to 3K in the next 5. You know what is funny to think about actually? People are so obsessed with Lord of the Rings because it's Lord of the Rings. But people have not been paying attention to Fallout. Like Fallout collectors are going for more than Lord of the Rings collectors, and the Fallout set is newer. It's a newer set. It's going for 1,000 a booster of collectors.
That's a lot, dude.
Yeah, like that's crazy when you really think about it. I think it's because a lot of people, at least in my community, I mean, everyone looks at the commanders more so because the commanders were obviously your kind of like opportunity to get access to product because they didn't have play boosters. That wasn't a thing they had. They didn't have set boosters of Fallout. It was either the commanders or the collectors. So, those you want to talk about something that's performing well, right? That's hot. Also, we haven't talked about this in a while, but I remember we were having a conversation on stream about like, oh, does it make sense to invest in set LOTR? And I was like, I wouldn't. It's still in stock. And then I was like, actually, it's out of stock, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back in stock again. I got solicited for restocks already. So just kind of goes to the point. Like it's still in print. It is still in print.
You know what's so funny about like this hobby? Like, just think about this question. Like, there'll be so much content and like ups and downs and market crashes, market booms in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm sure. And like, it's just funny. Like this goes for Pokemon too. If anybody would just like buy something, put it away and like literally not watch Pokemon content and just go about their lives, work their job, go out and do things, like don't even pay attention. In 5 years, you'd come back and you'd be like, oh yeah, seems about right. Okay, I'm up about 200-300% on most of these boxes. Some are up more, some are up less. Yep, about right. But like being like entrenched in this every day, day in and out, everyone's so worried about it's up this. There's a reprint. It's down 20%. Oh my gosh, the market's stagnant for 6 months. It's never going up. There's all this like crazy ups and downs. And like you talk to people, like I'll talk to like, some people I know that like they invest in Pokemon because of me, right? But like they're not in the Pokemon like hobby community. They're not in Discords. They watch different content, whatever. We'll like have like talks and they'll be like, yeah, I didn't even realize. So that's that much now. And it's just like, dude, it's just like moves like clockwork. And the only reason people are freaked out all the time is because they're too worried about the day-to-day stuff. Whereas really in 3 to 5 years, it's likely all this stuff's going to do what it always has.
Yeah. It's
just buy, set, forget, stop worrying about it.
It's just Just it's more long term. Think more long term.
Yeah, just buy, set, forget, move on.
I've been trying to get clarification between diamond hands and taking profits. Any help is much appreciated. I mean, it's a personal question. Like when you hear diamond hands, it's more of a reference to when something is crashing and you shouldn't sell. Like you're saying, I've got diamond hands because I'm not going to sell, versus taking profits is typically when an item has gone up, right? So like the best way to put it is Lost Origin at one point, it ran up to over like $600, like 650. It's now at like 520. Now is not the time to take profit on Lost Origin. As it was running up and it hit 650, you can say to yourself, oh my gosh, this could run up to 1,000. I don't want to sell. Or you could say to yourself, hey, I'd much rather sell on a leg up than a leg down. That's at least how I'm looking at it, right? So I'd much rather sell while it is, going up there. We can't predict the top, but I'd much rather do that than try and catch a falling knife or sell downwards. And then eventually it rebounds itself, right? So diamond hands, it's more specifically if you bought an item for 200 and then it's now going for 150, then you just dollar cost average and you've set it and forget about it for long term.
I'm an investor, so like when you ask me, I'm gonna give you an investor answer. There's only 3 reasons to sell. There's only 3 reasons. It's if you don't believe in the longevity of the overall market. It's if you need the capital for another purchase, like that you think is going to perform better than the one you're in, or you need the money for something else. Like that's it. Otherwise, you don't sell. Like, do you ask yourself if you should sell your 401k when the market's high? Do you ask yourself if you should sell your Bitcoin when the market's high? Like, if are you going to sell your house right now because the housing market's high? It's like it just, if you're an investor, you don't think about like I should sell because things are higher. Do you need the money for your personal life? That's a very legitimate reason. Do you think that the item you're in is no longer going to perform as good as another item? That's a legitimate reason. And then the only other one would be, like I said, you think the overall market is not going to perform as well as it has in the coming, 3, 5, 7, 10 years, and you just don't believe in it anymore. You want to put your funds elsewhere. Other than that, if all those 3 answers are no's to you, well, then don't sell. That's me.
We've got a super chat for a fan of yours, Alex. Mimic Brew just want to say hi. Nice hat, by the way. Any response? No hi back? Oh, okay. All right. Moving on to the next question, Alex.
It's good vibe in here. It's like daddy just hit mommy at the dinner table and everyone's just looking around like not knowing what to say. It's good. I like this.
Sounds like mom deserved it. No, I'm just kidding. Since apparently certain older cards rise with hype, can this be abused? Could I stack up on Ash's Greninja before? Okay, hold on one second. Since apparently certain older cards rise with hype, can this be? Okay, I think I understand what he's saying now. I think what he's saying is like during Astral Radiance and like Lost Origin, you saw rise with a lot of level X cards. Megas are obviously on the rise because of Megas. I mean, presumably, yeah.
I love the word abused. Like, can this be abused? I don't know, man. Like, I think that's what we were just kind of talking about with the whole like Team Rocket move, where people went back and bought Team Rocket cards and Giovanni cards, and same thing with the Mega Evolutions. Like, yeah, I mean, anytime you see like a trend or like a new thing that's going to cause like something to catch fire with something else, and you can take advantage of it, absolutely.
I was debating selling a case of Twilight booster boxes to help fund Evolving Skies booster boxes. I'd love to hear what you guys think of this move. I'd be holding a minimum of 3 to 5 years.
I mean, we kind of just gave that answer. Like, I don't know, like debating selling a case of booster boxes to help fund an Evolving Skies box. If you think Evolving Skies is going to perform better than Twilight, so what that question really looks like, Ainsworth, is do you think Evolving Skies is going to get to $3,800 before you think Twilight Masquerade is going to hit, roughly $600, $580, whatever it's going for right now? If you think it's going to double in price faster, then it makes more sense. If you don't, I mean, I can't make that decision for you. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to look at it. The only thing I can say as a different component is how much do you value storage and space? Because obviously, if it's one of those things where you're kind of short on space, having an Evolving Skies booster, it's going to be a higher dollar value product that you're going to take up less space with.
Yeah.
Do you guys think future sets are going to normalize 180 plus? I'm not a seller, but it doesn't feel like it's slowing down outside of not paying more than 250, 260 for a new booster box. I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit already.
Yeah, Michael, dude, here's the thing. Like, my stance has always been, you know, I'm more okay missing out than I am like getting caught. Now people can like use that against me and be like, you know, Alex, you don't think buying prismatic ETBs at 100, 110, $120 you're going to get caught? I personally don't. I'm comfortable with those prices. Other people may see that as crazy. And so you know, depending on the price points, you could kind of use that against me and be like, well, Alex, you're buying over MSRP. You could get caught on this or that, possibly. But like, I feel much better with all the purchases I've made up till now. Like, I haven't invested in Destined Rivals. I can't get Destined Rivals, you know, cheaper than, you know, a little bit under that. I'm not paying, you know, 225, 250 for a Destined Rivals box to invest in right now. The last set I really like got a good size position in was Surging Sparks. Like, that's the last one. I was able to get that very close to what I normally pay for it, back down in the 110s, 120s. And then I actually got some from Eli, you know, distribution program, all that. But after that, I have a small position in Prismatic, which I'll continue to buy more, you know, dollar cost average in, up and down, wherever it kind of fluctuates within the years. Very little position in Journey Together. I just got some Journey because, well, that's just kind of playing the possibility that they don't reprint the box topper version, and maybe the box topper versions go to the moon. And so I want to have at least some exposure, even if I'm overpaying a little bit. But other than that, those reasons, I'm having smaller positions to no positions right now until it makes more sense for me. So that's the way I'm approaching it.
I think that it will normalize at some point. I mean, just, yeah, like it historically always has. Crazy times. This isn't a situation where Pokemon is going to go up forever. No. No market ever does. There's always,
at the same time, we got to preface that. In no way does that mean the old sets are going to crash.
I mean, we've said that twice already.
I know, but people always get it twisted, dude.
Yeah, we've said this twice on stream already. Yeah,
I think people think because like things stop going up, like, dude, you could have these new sets crash. You could have the next set released at 160, the one after that 120, one after that $100. And you could have like Paldea do nothing. You could have Silver Tempest do nothing. Like, it could be fine. And so it's like, just be careful with that stuff. Don't think that because the new sets don't do well, the market crashes.
This Battle Style is underrated. $200 a box for the first alt art set feels low. I don't think it's underrated. I think it's rated appropriately. We've been having this conversation about Battle Styles for the past 4 years. Buy Battle Styles now. It's a good value. It's a good value. It's a good value. And it's done exactly what it's done this entire time, which has been like slowly gone up compared to everything else.
But what about Steam Siege?
I mean, that's fantastic. Steam Siege is doing good, but what about Hidden Fates? How long do you have to sit on Hidden Fates before it finally went up in value?
That's a great example, though. Again, this is why you have to be an investor in this hobby, right?
Yeah, like
5.5 years, an ETB is $400. That's a great investment.
Though, in the meantime, you could have easily invested in other things, gathered a greater return.
But that's the problem. You don't know when the moves are going to happen. Like,
of course, I agree with
Warren Buffett's not buying stocks at the exact right time.
I agree with you, but also I guess what I'm saying is that for sets like Battle Styles and sets like Hidden Fates, just because they're undervalued doesn't mean that it could just happen tomorrow that it's going to appropriately skyrocket up, because we've played that game and it's taken 3, 4, 5 years before you finally saw moves on certain items. And so for me, rather than try and play this waiting game, I'd much rather take the easy plays that I'm going to know is going to pop off and then reevaluate from there, depending upon the prices of Battle Styles and the price of Hidden, and then go in on it. Because think about it. If in 2021, you went and invested in any other product in the Sword and Shield era, and then a year ago, you cashed out in 3x your money, You could have then taken all of that and put it in hidden phase. Obviously, we wouldn't have known the time frame, but that is an easily possible play you could have done after seeing it go sideways for 3 years.
The only thing I would ask you then is you mentioned something in that speech. What are the easy plays?
I mean, for me right now, I mean, we talked about it last time on stream. I think if you're a true believer of 151 and Prismatic in the long term, coming and picking up ETBs for Prismatic and loose packs for 151 feels like a no-brainer. Like, even then, like, I don't know what the future is going to hold in terms of reprints for Prismatic, but I don't care. Because right now, if I can pick up ETBs for 90 a box, let alone a case, and then on top of that, if the price is correct further because of more reprints or more resupplies because of Costco stuff, and it gets into the 70s, like all freaking day, dude.
Yeah, like I again, I don't want to cause FOMO, but the guys 151 is going to be gone. The amount of people, like the amount of positions people are building in it, the amount of it's disappearing from the market. just watch TCG Player and watch eBay. Watch the availability of the listings go lower, lower, and lower. You're gonna see what you're gonna see. The prices aren't gonna move. The prices in collectibles move very, very crazily, right? It's not like a slow, steady growth. A lot of times on these things, they'll start making giant moves up. And the reason that happens is you're seeing it right now. The availability of product is really decreasing quickly. And so, like, I'm not saying you have to run out and FOMO, but on your radar this year, you need to have 151 on it.
I agree. This question for me, it looks like, Eli, I'm stuck in limbo. I can scoop 2K at MSRP through Target/vending machines, but I'm not sure how to scalp up more. LGS isn't interesting in selling cases. Am I stuck at eBay full
No,
retail?
he said how to scale up more. Don't do that to him. He said scalp up.
Oh my god, dude! I didn't know that said scale. I read scalp.
That's awesome.
Talking about a Freudian slip.
Scalp up. A scalp up would have been so much better.
I'm not sure how to scalp up more is what I read. I'm not sure how to scalp up more. LGS. Oh my god. That is such a Freudian slip. It's so
I'm not sure how to
He's scalping. I mean, that's literally what he's saying. He says, I'm maxing out my scalping. What do I do?
I mean, here at D Parker, what I guess what are you trying to do? Are you trying to like buy and sell? Are you trying to invest? Like, I mean, dude, that's if you're getting that much at MSRP, dude, it's just like guaranteed wins.
Oh, that's so
You're not going to find that at LGSs or online at those margins. LGS isn't interested in selling cases. Am I stuck at eBay full retail?
As an LGS myself, it is the biggest pain in the butt when someone comes into the shop saying they're willing to drop a ton of money, and then I ask them on what, and they say Prismatic, they say Destin, they say 151, and I'm like, so like you're not willing to pick up any of the other garbage? And they're like, no. Just like, cool, I can sell that. I don't need you for it. Like, it's just annoying. Like, I don't know. Like, help me move my stuff I can't move. You know what I mean?
And even
right now in this market,
even like Hills Wholesale Gaming isn't much help these days. And like even other big sites that used to have like good pre-order prices or good prices, like they're not giving deals. Yeah, in this market, D Parker, dude, it's you're not gonna find anything near like the vending machine type prices right now.
All right, one last question, then we'll get out of here. Is it better to invest in sets that will perform better, meaning higher prices per pack, or items that are more scarce, such as JT Enhanced booster boxes or sealed prismatic cases? We don't know about JT Enhanced yet. We won't know until we know what reprints are going to look like. So I would say let's hold off on that. But going back to your point of sealed prismatic cases, it's also hard to say as well because we don't know what's going to happen with like sealed prismatic cases if more prismatic gets reprinted. Like, these are both very speculative investments in terms of these questions because we're going to have to wait until the reprints tell us whether these things are going to be that scarce going forward.
Yeah, I can give you an overall answer. I would say like the whole riches and the niches thing, it's definitely a thing, but it's much less likely, right? Like you can point to sets and be like, well, Alex, Dragon Majesty. And it's like, well, yeah, then we can name like a bunch of sets that underperformed, right? On average, the the better sets that people really enjoy, they want to open, they want to collect, on average, they're going to do better, right? Yeah, you can point to Hidden Fates and say it underperformed for so many years. That was one of the best sets ever. I get that. But on average, I would rather be in the sets people want. I'd rather be in the Prismatics, the 1/5/1s, the Destins, Surgings. Like, I think overall, you're probably going to do better getting in the stuff people actually want than the like the real niche stuff. Now, when the niche stuff takes off, you're going to hit freaking grand slams, right? But the ones that don't, you're going to be stuck in things like Battle Styles and Darkness Ablaze and Vivid Voltage or whatever else. So like that's the only thing I would say.
Yeah, 100%. All right. I think that's a good stopping point. We've been going for quite a bit now. Anything you want to say before we head on out here? Oh, I guess we got one more super chat just for you, Alex. He says he likes your Mickey Mouse hat.
You're the one wearing the Mickey Mouse hat.
Oh, that's interesting. He says, I just want to say hi to Alex. Nice hat, by the way. Oh, he was saying my hat. Oh, I was like, Mickey Mouse hat? What? You're not wearing a Oh, I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse hat. That's crazy work. Insane. Anything you want to say before we head on out here?
I think
appreciate it, Mook. Thanks for the
compliment
on the hat.
That was a perfect ending.
Eli's fried. Dude, I am low-key really tired.
Well, he was talking about acid trips earlier, so
oh yeah, that's it.
I'm just saying.
No, I'm trying to be better about exercising more. And I played in a volleyball tournament last night and it ran till 11 last night. So it ran late. But
how'd you guys do?
Dude, oh my God. We literally smoked everyone in bracket and we went undefeated. And then the finals, we choked on double elim. So literally the team that we beat in bracket, dude, we literally, oh my God, we threw so bad. It sucks. So we literally blew out every single team we played. And then we go into the finals and this team, we beat them in bracket 21-13. So like it wasn't a close game. And because they had to come through the losers bracket, they had to beat us twice and we only had to beat them once and we lost.
Wow.
So absolutely. And I'll give them their credit. Like they played so much different. Like they played so good. And it was one of those things where, you know, they had it came down to a game of mistakes and they made less mistakes than we did. I will leave it at that.
Look, you're just getting old. You couldn't perform that late at night. It was
right. I'm the youngest guy there. I'm 26. Everyone. Yeah, no, definitely not. That's so funny. So, but yeah, so I was tired. I literally had to get up in the morning for gym and it was leg day. So playing a 4-hour tournament in the leg day sucks, but we're here, baby. We're here.
You guys are getting a glimpse into Eli's world and just how hard he works.
Dude,
volleyball tournaments, going to the gym, like at no point in there is like any business.
Thanks, man. Hey, I don't want to be fat anymore. Okay. I was fat. I don't want to be fat. I need to take care of my health. Thank you very much.
I agree. I'm doing the same. It sucks.
Yeah. So I'm trying my best. I'm like, just stay healthy. Just don't kill yourself. Because, man, when you get sleep apnea and you start to get GERD because you gain so much weight, it starts to really affect you and how you realize how bad your health is spiraling. Because, oh, my God, dude, my GERD has pretty much gone away at this point since I've lost so much weight. But frick, when I had it, dude, because I was just working so much.
That's wild.
It sucks, dude. It sucks. Yeah. But anyway, let's get on out of here, guys. Thank you all so much again for stopping by. We'll see you all next Tuesday. Peace.